Wow, crazy times, right? It's been a while since I've chatted with you guys. Back in Tulum. It's been raining here for like 3 days straight, which is kind of cool. Actually, it's still hot though, so very humid. I wanted to talk a little bit about what I see all of us are going through, and that is what I'm going to call the biggest breakup that we've ever experienced. Now, we've all been through breakups, and when we're in the middle of them, they seem like the worst thing ever. You don't know who you are, you don't know where you're going to end up, you don't know how you're going to live. And we're doing that right now as a collective with these old paradigms that aren't working. So we've got the failure of the government, we've got the failure of the monetary system, the dollar, we've got the failure of healthcare, we've got the failure of housing. All these different things are falseness that is breaking away in order to make room for the truth. And so it seems like, and I get it, we're in, there's a lot of worry, there's a lot of things that need to be done. We have to have our shelter, we have to be able to find food, we have to be able to survive through these times. And it is stressful. But I wanted to make this video to just remind everyone, including myself, that this is 100% necessary. And it's also going to end up being one of the best things that ever happens to you and to us as a collective. Think of it as a relationship. We've all been through quote unquote bad relationships. I don't know if it's really bad because it teaches you so much, and everybody's just working through their karma, right? So even when people do treat us bad in a relationship, it's just the perfect mix of karma for us to grow. And we're also probably reciprocating that as well back. And so it's like being in a relationship where you're afraid to leave because maybe you're insecure, maybe you don't have enough money to live on your own, maybe you just like having someone to go to the movies with and to lay down with at night, maybe you just don't like eating alone or going out alone. So you kind of stay in these relationships because you're afraid. It's fear. Let's just call it what it is. And that's the same situation we're facing as a collective. We're in a relationship with the dollar, for example, that is fake. It's not even real. And if you really look metaphysically behind all of that, like it is a huge part of all of our lives. We need money. We're told we need money, right? There's a whole nother paradigm we could live in where we don't need money, but that's the system that has been put here to control us. And it's like a bad relationship. The same thing with all the other things I mentioned, whatever it looks like for you. The answer here is not to plug in a new leader or to plug in a new system. The answer is for these systems to completely fail. And the reason is it's like putting a Band-Aid over, a broken bone. It's not going to fix it. The longer, and we've been experiencing this over the past 10 years, I'll say, it's just completely fallen apart. Like the more they put a Band-Aid on this, an example is reduce the rates, the Fed Reserve reduces the rates, we get a new president, blah, blah, blah. All these things can help, but the problem is that, or they can make it worse. What's funny is when they reduce the rates, it actually, if you look historically, when they reduce the Federal Reserve rate, it actually raises the mortgage rates. But my point is here is this whole thing is a bad relationship that needs to end. And so we have fear and anxiety as we come into the ending of this. But guys, this is all divine. This has to happen. And it's going to be the best thing that can happen. So how do we reduce our suffering during these times? That's really the question. Because I know people are suffering. There is a lot of fear. There is a lot of anxiety. There is a lot of what ifs. What am I going to do? Where am I going to go? How am I going to live? And that's fair. That's 100% fair. So how do we reduce the suffering? And the best way to do that is to first realize that this is a breakup and it is for your good. Resistance in any form of this will make the suffering increase. So in order to reduce your pain and suffering, and as hard as it'll be, what you want to do is not resist it. Realize that this is all happening for a reason. The same reason that the trees shed their leaves in the fall and they grow back even better the next year. It's all part of a cyclical nature. And for us to think as individuals that we can control the cyclical forces in nature, if you guys have read Ray Dalio's book, I forget the name of it right now, but point is this all cycles, right? And if you look at the larger macro cycles, we look at like the yugas of the earth as we come out of darkness into more light. That's what's happening right now. We're in the age of Aquarius, and we're actually having higher vibrational frequencies rising up the earth. And what's happening is all of these lower vibrational dynamics have to break. And when they break, the amount of pain you feel is directly correlated to how attached you are to them. So in summary, attachment and resistance is attachment. Like if you're like, I don't want that to happen, that's attaching. Like you're literally like a Spidey sending out your web. I don't want that. You're connecting your false self to the outcome. So resistance is futile. Let it go. Let this thing go. Like, let's go back to the analogy of the relationship. We've all been through breakups, and in the time we're going through them, it was hard. But almost always, when you look back, you're like, holy cow, that was the best thing that ever happened. Even if you were, maybe you did have a really good relationship, and you were the problem, and you lost that person. But still, you learned what you needed to do to become the man or woman you needed to be to have a relationship like that again. So my point is that this needs to happen. It's going to happen. And the longer we resist it and keep throwing band-aids on it, the more suffering as a collective, and this isn't just the United States, guys, this is a whole world going through this right now. As a collective, the longer we resist it and try to fight it and try to change it and try to be lobbyists and activists towards what we know the right way, let go. Let go. There is a divine order that is going to make this exactly how it's supposed to be. And it is our very grabbing of it and saying, well, I know the way. If only my leader was in charge. If only we did this. If only we need to turn this, then we need to do that. And then if we do this, guys, that's all ego mind. That's exactly how we got here. The solution for you personally during these tough times is to let go of resistance. Turn inward. Stop externally focusing and turn inward. Meditation, stillness, silence. When you find out who you truly are, when you know thyself, you realize that all of this is illusory. And I know that's, that's somewhat dismissing, but it's true. So let go of the resistance. When you find yourself trying to change the external environment, especially at a scale of this magnitude, it is futile and it'll be suffering for you. So less resistance and just let it flow and realize that, like, I'll end with this story. Like, I remember, this is kind of a weird story, but this is what happened. I remember in March of 2020, the COVID virus shows up, right? And immediately I was overcome by this joy. I know that sounds horrible. It's not, I don't like people getting hurt or dying, and yeah, it was a big deal, right? But I knew that this was the beginning of the end. This was the beginning of the unveiling of the Great Awakening, of the truth, of all these paradigms falling and failing. So let them go. Let it go. Let the paradigms on your micro level go. Let the paradigms on a macro level go. Let it go. It's going either way. The more you hold on to it, you picture like a cat going through a pipe and it's holding on with its claws, or you're holding on with your fingernails and you're like bleeding because you're so scared. Just let go. Just let it go. The biggest breakup of our lives and the best outcome. Know thyself and be free.